much for very friendly comments. It's always a pleasure to be here on the stage with Pan Bogdan, with Ambassador Steve. It's been a challenging years for Ukraine, but I will talk about, within my few first remarks, about glass half full. And when you look at this glass half full for Ukraine, because majority of the people sitting on the stage is optimist. I think all of the people here sitting optimist, and I hope majority of people who come and looking into investments in Ukraine are optimists. So let's look at the glass half full. If we look at those half, which is full, it's what's been done in Ukraine during the last year. Macro-financial stabilization. It's about significant changes in the financial system. Just think, over the last 1.5 years, we removed 73 banks out of the financial system. 73 banks. Nobody in the world done this, ever. Taking out the corrupt, non-structured, non-performing banks out of the system, which means it's a healthy financial system for Ukraine. Second, anti-corruption. And I know it's a big topic for a lot of discussion, etc. The new Anti-Corruption Bureau was able to start only in September last year. And already now it has 119 cases. It has 9 cases in the courts, and it's keep going. The whole institution needs to be established. It needs to be financed. It needs to be functioning. It needs to have people. It needs to train people. Recruiting people for this institution is a difficult job. And it's functioning. When we look into the history of other countries which have been establishing anti-corruption institution, the average start time, 3 years. We did it in 1. Police. Today, it's 22 cities. Just over the last quarter, we added 12. So the pace of the development with the establishment of the law enforcement changes is taking higher pace. Over the last quarter, we doubled the police force, the new police force, versus the full last year. Procurement. Let me give you some numbers. The public procurement reform with electronic system Prozoro, which started with the civil society, continued through the first ministries, then roll out as a big reform to all ministry and all institutions. At the end of 2015, the target amount that was traded in the system was 8.5 billion hryvnias. Today, after first quarter, it's 15.7. Again, double. The same with the savings, the same with the old numbers in the system. So the procurement, electronic procurement, going full speed and doubling its performance. Decentralization. It's giving more empowerment to the regions. This has been another big area of opportunities for investors, because the regions are more empowered and the regions are more decisive what kind of investments go into each area, where they need investments, what kind of investment support they will have. Today, we have 159 communities by the end of 2015. Over the last quarter, we add an additional 10. And the pace of getting financial support to this institution is also doubling. Again, another number. Local government general fund budget in January-March 2015 was 5.5 billion. January-March 2016 is 15 billion. It's 3 times more. More money to the regional governments, more empowerment to the regional authorities, more interest and more projects and more opportunities for investment. Financial sector, but looking at the budgeting more. We reduced tax for payroll tax twice to 22%. Also taxes on the exploration of the gas and other resources been also reduced. Deregulation. This number very not often been said, but we abolished 16,000 Soviet Union regulatory acts by Ministry of Economy. We introduced, with the state-owned enterprises reform, the process of auditing state-owned enterprises, the publishing annual reports. There was a new one just published, which is continuing the third of 3 previous ones, about top 100 state-owned enterprises, where they are, how they are performing, and what's their results. What it means transparency. It means transparency in transacting and looking at opportunities for partnership, as well as possibility for privatization in the future. Because it gives a track record what these companies are doing and how they are doing. It's a possibility to assessing the performance of their managers, of their CEOs, understanding what the changes and what opportunities lies in front of us. Education reform, this is an area where we're kicking off many changes. It's about adhering to European standards. Ukraine joined Horizon 2020, which is creating an opportunity for Ukrainian research and development to actually benefit from 80 billion euros, which are available for projects driven with investments in R&D. Healthcare, the one area which is probably will have more elements in the, not in the half full, but half empty. At the same time, the procurement through international organizations enabled us to show off saving between 30 to 50% consolidated. And it's about the procurement for vaccination, it's procurement for tuberculosis, it's the procurement for cancer treatment. At the same time, military reform, we increased the military, we still have aggression from Russia in east, we have occupation of Crimea. This is all has a significant hit on the economy. But Ukraine increased the spending on the military to 5% of GDP, on the whole security sector, 5% of GDP, and continuing to invest in this area. Energy independence, 63% last year of gas was coming from European Union. Just 2 years ago, 92 were coming from Russia. It's a big change. The change of the increase of the tariffs, creating unequal conditions for within the market, removing the areas where oligarchy can benefit. Digital reforms, 3G tenders, procurement Prozoro, petitions to the president. Actually, you can go and look at the Ministry of Finance, the initiative that was driven by Natalie Yaresko, that every transaction that the Treasury does is online. And you can look and see who is spending money, government money, for what. The list is pretty big. So now this is the half full. So there is still water in this half full thing. So it's not that critical that nothing is done. It's done. And if you compare it with other countries who have been doing reforms, actually the change and the things that's been done within this just 2 years, it's amazing. But let's look at another half, which is empty. And this is about political unity in terms of driving reforms further. It's about IMF support, and it's not about the fact that we need to perform in order to satisfy IMF. It's about us doing things which is important for the state so that we receive a necessary credit money that's enabled to run the reforms. That's the whole purpose of international funding. When we look, it's about very big and long agenda for European integration. We have association agenda where every line in its document identifies reform. And it's a big document. And each line is a project. A project starting from the border control across all Ukraine, up to the transformation of the cultural system, tourism, and so on. This is all opportunities for investments. Where we need to do further, and this is probably the big talks for the investors, is the area of the fiscal control, tax reform, customs reform. It's the area which have been standing and holding Ukraine from the further strong developments. It's about showing and putting economy back into drive. And the forecast that we've heard from the Ministry of Economy recently, and it's all forecast for Ukraine. By the end of this year, Ukrainian GDP will grow between 1 to 2%. That's a general assumption across, if you look IMF, World Bank, Ministry of Economy, etc., National Bank, they will all give you a number within this range, which is a positive sign. But there are industries which are performing even better. High tech. Last year was amazing. We got, Luxury was acquired by Snapchat, $155 million. We got EBRD investing $5 million in the deposit photos. We got a series of venture investment from California, investing in several Ukrainian startups, at average $1 million. We look in, Oracle was acquiring Maximizer. George Soros made his first investment in Ukrainian company. He's been here supporting a lot of initiative and driving for democracy, but this is the first time he actually went in and made financial investment, and this is high-tech company. The average growth of the industry for Ukrainian high-tech, 25–30%. Profitability in the same range. This is a highly competitive market, and it's showing hockey stick performance. The R&Ds, okay. So Ericsson, open R&D. Boeing, move R&D from Moscow to Kiev. We're seeing more and more than 100 R&D centers today have taken place in Ukraine. For government of Ukraine, that's the priority because it's a new economy with more jobs, higher payroll, higher taxes, bigger contribution to the society, better development. But it's still the glass half full. There is still big half that needs to be filled. And this is a challenge that we understand we need to perform. At the same time, I think the optimism and the drive for this investment conference and for other investment conferences are very critical because that's what drives economy up. That drives the hope of Ukrainian society. It's a business that drives the development of the country. It's investment that drives the development. And the President, Prime Minister, and the Parliament are committed to the further development of the country. I haven't seen anybody saying, we're going to drain the bucket, so the quantity of water went down. The major seal that holds this glass half full and going up with the water in it is a civil society. The civil society and new Ukraine and the contemporary world development is what drives and secures the further development of Ukraine. And democracy is the key thing for Ukraine. Ukraine will stay on the path of being the democratic state, which is a key enabler for reforms and transformation in the country. Thank you.